This is always one of my favourite interviews to do because I have not one but two people to talk to. I have the very wonderful Kelsey and Ben, who a lot of you will recognise from many, many verticals on your screen, but I think probably most of you are also aware that not only are they big vertical stars, they are possibly the first vertical married couple that we know. I think they're the OG, so this is like celebrity top level here. So I've basically got the power couple of the vertical scene on here. So I'm going to ask them both to introduce themselves to you.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Susino Taylor, and yeah, that's my intro.
I'm Ben Taylor. Oh, my voice cracked.
Did try it again one more time.
Hi, I'm Ben Taylor.
That's very good. That was like Matinee Idol. It was brilliant. So I have to ask, okay, I'm going to start with you, Kelsey, to make it easier. Were you a child who wanted to perform, or have you come to it later in life?
No, I was. I was like the shyest kid. I wouldn't really talk, but I grew up dancing, so it's actually how I started. So I was always a dancer, and then I would put on like I think everyone did this. I would put on little shows whenever we had family friends or cousins over. I'd be like, we have to do Annie. Like everyone, we have to. And I would like sing the Miss Hannigan song because it was like funny to me. And then that was like the 2 words you'd hear from me for like the whole week. And then, yeah, from there, from dancing, I like just started acting and singing and really got into it. But yeah, I always did.
What sort of dance did you do?
So I did competition dance, so it was kind of all of it. I did ballet, tap, jazz, lyrical, hip hop at the time, modern, contemporary, and like jazz and modern, I think, and like lyrical were my favorites. I liked ballet back in the day, but I definitely am not the ballet body, so that didn't continue. And I feel like my skill set just kind of went more towards musical theater. And then when I got to college, I just kind of didn't grow out of musical theater, but grew out of musical theater and just wanted to act. So that's what I ended up doing.
Hey, and Ben, I'm going to ask you the same question.
I guess relatively young. I was more interested in sports. I played basketball, and that was kind of my entire life as a kid. And then at some point in high school, when I was a junior in high school, I took a public speaking class. I kind of burned out of basketball. I'm just kind of tired of it. And I knew I wanted to do something in acting. I just kind of had to I wanted to, I guess, when I was like 3 or 4, very small. But I took a public speaking class, and I got on stage. And I was also very shy. I was a very quiet, awkward, neurotic child. I remember feeling, I felt great. And I felt for like the first time very confident and comfortable in my skin, for some reason being on stage. And the teacher, Nancy Curtis, was like, you should stay after, we're doing a play. I said, oh, okay, I'll stay after. I stayed for school, and it was Oklahoma, and I don't do singing or dancing, and no one wants me to. I'm atrocious at it. So I didn't do that, but then the next year I took a theater class and loved it. And, theater in college, and now acting here in the world of life.
So I have to ask with both of you, I'm assuming, are you in the LA area now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So were you both from that area, or did you make the decision at some point of, I need to go to LA?
Yeah, we're both from elsewhere. I'm from New York and New Jersey, and lived in New York. And after the pandemic, honestly, I think that was really just I need to move. I need to try new things. And I'm really grateful. I mean, it brought me here, brought me to Ben, brought me to new opportunities. So I'm glad I finally moved, but I never thought I would leave New York.
I'm from Virginia Beach, so also East Coast. And I knew I wanted to come to LA since I don't know, this is very, very young. I knew I wanted to live here. And then just aligned with acting. And I moved out here October 2020, and I graduated college in May 2020. And for any eagle-eyed viewers, that was the pandemic. And so
I'm like, hey, you just about got, did you have any ceremony, or was it just, you're done, go?
Oh, it was hilarious in a very sad way. What we got was the winter commencement speech, just overplayed over a very half-hearted slideshow that you could upload photos to the college website. That's all we got, and I had that as sick, fantastic, and then moved
It's
to
the parents as well. The parents are like, where is our moment? It's like,
well, it's weird because I was had senioritis. I was so ready to just get out, move to LA, start acting here. Then I think my mom was more upset than me, which and now I feel bad. At the time I was like, not being Appalachia anymore.
okay, so you both come to LA. Who, I think I'm right in thinking that, Kelsey, you got into verticals quite early in the scene. Is that right?
Yeah, like I think decently early. It was not this past November, but the one before. And I had a friend, Candace Miska, very talented, who was doing them before. Like she's OG verticals. And then, so I didn't exactly know what they were, but I knew from her, and then I had like auditioned for a few, but I got into it through the Secret Heiress, which is on Playlit and still probably like one of my most popular ones. It's the only one I've gotten recognized from in real life. And it was honestly like kind of serendipitous because it was also the only one that I didn't like my first one where I didn't have to audition either. Like I just got offered the part and it was like, oh, okay. And like got on set and it was like, oh, these are verticals. Great. And it was really fun. And then ever since then kept auditioning and like luckily it stayed in the scene and it's been fun.
So I have to ask, what was it? What was the situation? Were you recognised in real life? I'd love to know.
We were in New York having lunch with my aunt at a restaurant near her office in Midtown, and the hostess just like was, we were waiting to get seated, and what did she just like said hi and that she recognized me.
She did.
Yeah.
And it was funny too because it was the first time I also realized how big verticals were because she was like, she was, I'd say, flabbergasted is the right word. She was like excited. She was like very like.
She was very sweet. She was very sweet.
And I was like, oh, verticals are actually pretty big. And like prior to, all the.
It was before we like realized people were actually watching them because I knew like on TikTok I'd read some of the comments because I thought it was funny, and then like all the negative ones I thought were funny, so I would like them. I would be like, oh, ha ha ha, like people are being mean to us. I was like, it's fine. But then it was like, oh yeah, people enjoy these, people like these. And I have a cousin who watches them and she loves them. She's like, tell me about this person, tell me about that person. She's like, you have to work with them. And I was like, okay, I'll let you know. So
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really sweet. And then like when we left, it was like that awkward thing where I was like, I almost wanted a picture with her because I was like, ooh, the first person who's recognized me, like, but I didn't ask because I didn't want to be like rude. She was at work. But my ego was like, maybe she would have liked a picture with me too.
Day, and then that's like a memory for like future for the first time I was recognized.
Yeah.
And it was in front of my aunt. It was in front of him. I had like people to see it. So I was like, ooh, I have someone to back up my story.
Yeah, that's true. You want witnesses, don't you? It's not just Kelsey. No, honestly, I'm sure she recognised me. So, Ben, what was your first vertical and how did that come about?
My first vertical was Final Call for Love. With Olivia as the director, and Venus as producer. Fantastic to work with Olivia. Actually, got upset with her 2 days ago. She's the absolute best. But yeah, I
Was that Kirby's first one too?
I think it's her second.
Oh, okay. So like Kirby was also new to it too. Yeah.
Yeah, we were all because it was a year ago at this point. I think almost exactly a year when we filmed it.
Oh.
So everyone was still pretty new to the vertical scene. Yeah, I was bartending at the time, and Kelsey was working, and she was getting more jobs, and she was constantly on set, and I was so jealous. So the occasional, short film, student film, and that's pretty every other month, if that, in all honesty. She'd audition for these. I'm like, politicians. You read them initially, you're like, oh, it's a billionaire, it's a werewolf. It feels very soapy. But I finally, got Final Call for Love. Almost too, also because the casting director knew Kelsey.
Oh, it was Lays.
It was Lays.
You just watched Lays in something. I think I saw that review.
Yeah,
he's so sweet. He was just in the one I was just in. He was on it with me, and he played like a gangster. So you'll like that one. The plot is the plot's a little, but but he's great in it.
So if it's all right to ask, because people want to know, so obviously people know you were together. So I thought maybe you had met on set, but it's kind of clear from that you already were a couple before. So were you a couple before you even started in Verticals, Kelsey?
Yeah, actually, we met August 27th. That's also the day we got married. And it was like November. November was my first one of that year. So pretty soon after I started Verticals.
So actually it's more you brought your couple star power to Verticals rather than Verticals made you a couple. It's just getting
which I prefer. I don't know. I think we still would have ended up together if we met on set, but I think there would have been a little bit more like roadblocks if that was the case.
Awesome. So if it's all right, I'll talk about Final Call for Love because it's probably one of those shows that most people have seen. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. And whenever you go on the apps it's on, it's always up there. You know, some verticals, as you know, they'll pop and then they sort of disappear off, which is obviously one of the things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get eyes on ones that might have got missed. But I mean, and the other reason I need to rewatch Final Call for Love is it's quite hard to watch, Ben, because you're not the nicest in it, if you don't mind me saying.
In all honesty, it wasn't. It was my first one. And still, it's funny, when I was still doing it, I remember thinking, oh, he's not a good guy. This woman shouldn't get with him or like him. He was very mean. He was very conniving. But now, having done so many more, I'm like, oh,
way worse guy.
Yeah. Like, I've been, like, again, like the good guy, or like the lead, I guess. And we're just, wow, he is an awful man. No one should be with him.
But yeah, so I think they work hard to make it slightly less toxic than some of them.
Yeah.
They do. It's funny because the reason I felt like I understood like the genre of Verticals was because I used to watch K-dramas with my friend, and one of them was it was called Playful Kiss. And we loved it. We were obsessed with it. It was so campy. It was so silly. But the thing that was crazy about it to me was like how mean the guy was to her. And they end up together in the end. Like, they get married, and he still doesn't say I love you to her. He's still mean to her. And then in, like, the very last episode, the last scene is, like, them having a kiss, and, like, he says I love you. And I'm like, you're already married. Like, what's going on here? But, like, the whole show is him being horrible to her. But it's, and, like, not that that's funny, but, like, the other stuff that happens is funny. Because it's just, you know, these kinds of genres they put a lot of stuff that has, like, options to be funny. If you let it be, which is my favorite. I'm like, when there's something funny, I'm like, let's run with it. Like, let's really like hammer that bit until like everyone is on the same page. But yeah, the guys are always more stoic, more like tossing them aside. I feel like, yeah.
But actually, I think that's quite a nice lead on, because I think actually my favourite stoic role of yours, Ben, is the one where you're I have to get the title up. Billionaire dad, something. You have children. What's it called? Twins love their dad.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is a really weird observation, but I really like that because you look proper tired with those kids. You looked exhausted, and as a parent, I was like, finally, someone looked worn out, which is how they should look with children charging around. Yeah. And I think that's one of my favourite things in it. And then obviously, Kelsey, you've done another one. You've done one of the ones with kids. You did She Returns the Triplets. And again, this one really interests me because I'll watch a lot in Verticals and put up with a lot. That one really upsets me. I'm like, splitting up triplets. That's so evil. I get really upset because obviously you have the triplets and like one's taken away and I'm like, this is... Mm-hmm. You know, it's really odd what your line is. The amount of things I'll put up with. Oh yeah, they've spiked the drink. Oh yeah, they've done this. They've split up the triplets. That's my line. I get very upset.
It's funny because no one knows except Brenda. Like, no, none of us know that we had 3 kids. Like, I don't even think maybe I knew that I lost one, but I'm like, no, I have 2 kids. I have 2 kids. Like, and then there's a third. Like, when did I give birth to that one? Like, I guess they all came out at once. But that one was fun. That one was fun to film. The kids were sweet. They were menaces. Like, they were driving the director crazy, but I had a good time with them. They were sweet.
What does that work like with kids on set? Because I know, like on a normal film set, you've got all the things about they have to have the education and the limited hours. How does it work with bringing children into a vertical set and the length of days you're doing and the intensity?
Yeah, so verticals are already really fast paced, and it really relies on like everyone being on top of their game. So if you have people who like don't know their lines or like aren't like keeping up with the pace, it does slow things down. And kids, it's like kind of automatically you're like, okay, they're young, they like might need some more prompting. So that being aside, actually the little girl Ksenia, a little professional. She is a little star in the making. She was on top of everything. Knew she was cute, ran with it. But yeah, it can like slow stuff down. Like I think on our last day, we really had to like rush to get everything done. And as soon as we could like wrap the kids, they were like, okay, go. we gotta get to the rest of everything. But it's fun having the kids.
How it works on a set, because obviously it's a different dynamic.
They are supposed to have a studio teacher. They are. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. They are supposed to have one.
And what about you, Ben? How did you find it?
They were so sweet. They were so nice. Yeah. They were still kids on Twins Love Billionaire Dad. So they were full of energy. There was some corralling of them. There was a lot of promises and then threats of bringing the mom in if they didn't go town. It was funny. It was almost like little power moves, and I respected it. Is we would be setting up for a scene, and they would just pull their little phones out and start playing like Clash of Clans. And the director would, hey, we're about to start. Are you ready? Go, yeah, I'm ready. And go, all right, camera, sound. They're just playing away. And they had like yank phones from them. But they were so sweet. They were so nice. That's it. It was my first time dealing with kids on set, and I wasn't ready for the energy.
About the scene where she's just talking over all of Ashley's lines.
Oh God, it was one of the funnest experiences on set. So I forgot this scene, but I think it was Ashley in it, and she was like discovering she like got a job, and the little girl, I guess she was kind of tired, but she was ready to act, and she started just improvising lines, and she had I think no lines, but Ashley would go like, oh my God, and the girl would go, what is it? And go, I got in. Go, oh really? Wow, yeah, I got into the fashion thing. And go, you got into the fashion thing? That's so great. And we're like, stop, just sit there. Just smile. It was
ready for my improv.
It was fantastic. It was so great. She did it from one other scene too, and holding a straight face when little kids are just trying to improvise. It was very cute, but it was very. Sorry.
I think this is when I possibly first talked to you, because I think I did a review, and we know I go on weird tangents on reviews, and I think there was a facial hair continuity thing that I.
Oh gosh, that was crazy.
I'm really sorry. These are the weird things I pick up on.
Oh no,
I'm sure you have a beard, and then the beard's gone, and then the beard's back, and the beard's gone. It's like, what was going on there?
It was so we filmed the first day, and I just came off one. Boss, your wife leaves the baby, and that's the only one I have facial hair in. So I can't grow facial hair. It looks. Funny thing too, also in that I thought it was funny. There was a scene where I was like 14. It was like Us in the Past. I have to come in and save her. And I have like facial hair, and I have tattoos as a 14-year-old. But really ahead of his time, 14-year-old. But anyway, so I got to that set, My hair's no longer. I had facial hair. We filmed the entire first day. And then that night, the client was like, "Oh, actually, we want Ben to be clean shaven, have shorter hair." Like I was in Final Call for Love. That just had come out and was gaining some traction. And so we had to refilm the entire first day. But since we were on such a tight schedule, there's some scenes we just could not refilm. That's why I have just 2 random scenes with facial hair and a long.
Okay, that makes me really happy.
I'm sorry.
That makes me really happy. And actually, talking about costumes and roles, obviously there's been a bit of a run of pilot. Obviously, someone's gone, "We shall make men wear pilot clothes. This is attractive." And then clearly someone's got access to a plane to film on. So it's like you can see these verts booking in the plane. But you were original, so you did pilot long before everyone else. So I feel this needs a bit of credit here. I like the original one. And then talking about clothes and costumes, I mean, Kelsey, you have some fabulous stuff. But I want to ask, would you say that when you play the villain as opposed to the lead, that's when your look really tends to step up?
Oh yeah. As the villain, they'll actually dress me in things that fit me and be like, "Okay, let's go with it." And then whenever I'm the lead, they put me in burlap sacks and wrap my hair, and I'm like, all right, then maybe I'll look good in 2 scenes, but the rest of it, they're like, "Nah, let's really get at her and make her look as bad as we can." They don't say it explicitly, but I know it's what they're thinking.
And do you have any favourite looks or sort of characters that you were like, "That one was, I felt that one"?
Yeah, honestly, Faux Fiance is so fun. I loved having to wear the wig every day. It was annoying at times because sometimes you could definitely that's when my hair was still red, and we would see a little bit, we would try and hide all of it, but it was and then we'd have to. It was funny because the time that it looked the realest, I really think, was when I had to get thrown in the pool and I come out soaking wet, and it's oh, now it looks real. So that was one of my favorite costumes by far.
We also someone on set didn't know it was.
Oh yeah. There was I think it was one of the ADs. I don't remember, but someone came up to me on the 3rd to last day, and she's like, "I finally realized that you're that girl who shows up every morning with the red hair." She's like, "I always wonder where that girl goes." And then I'm just it's yeah. So it's "Oh, yeah, that's me." So I love that.
That's a really good sign. So if people haven't seen Faux Fiance, I think it was the first project that was out on Salty TV, and obviously they've upped their content since then. But it's really fun because it's quite different. It's like a game show, isn't it? And it's set in a
Love
Island type thing. And you're one. It's they've got the couples. I can't remember his name, but there's a fab actor who's the compare. And then I think is it Tyler Shears in it? Is that right?
Tyler Shear, Elijah Wood. They're great. Justin plays the announcer. Alexandra plays forget her character's name.
Yeah.
Lots of great people in that.
Oh,
just think the dynamics you get to play with everyone, and she is so full on and I'm gonna win this. Is it fun when you're kind of unleashed? If I'm gonna do a villain or a baddie, that you get to go, they're "Do more, Kelsey, push it further."
Oh yeah, they never have to tell me to do more. I'm always coming in with bits, coming in hot. I just think that's the most fun is if I can do a bit, I will. So that's what's always fun about villains is with the leads, you have to follow more of a formula. I feel you still act, but it's a little bit more formulaic. With the villains, of course they want you to hit your smirk and your scowl and your tantrum, but other than that, you are really free to play. So that's what's really fun about those. That one was fun. That one was a lot of fun.
And do you think any of your villains sometimes, are they redeemable? Have you done any where you thought actually she's been a bit hard done by?
Yeah. Kiss Me One Last Time. I was the victim. I was absolutely the victim in that. Have you seen that one?
I love this.
That one's on Real Short, and it's kind of one of the more problematic ones. It's a lot of domestic stuff, so it's not the best. But I play the villain in that one. But the whole story is that this is my boyfriend since childhood. My stepsister, I need a kidney, so I'm sick. I need a kidney, and then she tells me, "I'll give it to you because she's a match, but only if I get to marry Blake." And it's what the hell? So then Blake agrees on my behalf because he's being a good guy. And this is all from my perspective. This happens, but it's from my perspective. And
Yeah.
he agrees, and then like 2 years later, they're like married, and like that's where the story starts. And Adeline gets sick, so then we deal with her sickness, and we like forget that like I was ever sick and that like I actually needed the kidney. And then fast forward when like Blake finally finds out that she's sick and like all this stuff. At the very end, after he's been horrible to her the whole script, he's horrible. He kind of gets like a bit of redemption, and which I don't buy. He's not redeemed. And then my character, he like kills me apparently, and like says, "I'm gonna take that kidney back. Like Adeline needs it. She's gonna be buried whole." And it's like I needed this kidney. Like I didn't do anything wrong here. Like that was, if anything, I lost out. So on that one, I'm the victim. I might have done some questionable things, but it was all because I was in love and I was cheated in love. So that.
I really like that because I think I was talking to another actress who's played quite a lot of villains this week, and Shaylee Reagan, who's working in the UK vert scene, and she was saying, yeah, they do. She does try and work out like what is their story, and like from their point of view, you know, she'd loved this guy for ages, and they're in a friend zone, and then he goes off with someone else, and she's like, hang on, I've been here for, you know, like that one. I was here first. What's going on? So I think it's really important that we try and redeem villains a bit and just explain why they're doing what they are.
Yeah, a lot of the time too, it's like trying to paint the villain girl as like crazy, but sometimes she is. Sometimes she absolutely is, where it's like they've never actually been together. He like has always been like, I'm not interested in you. A lot of the time, they're dating. They're like, I had one betrayed my billionaire boyfriend, and in that one too, like we're full on fiancés. He like gets the other girl back, and then he like drops me. But it's like in that one too, I'm like, I look like an idiot because no, I thought you like meant it when you like we were together for however long after she's been gone. So
And
it's like
you
it
are a
really
woman,
makes the villain girl like
scorned, so you're allowed to do things because you're a woman scorned. So there you go. I'm standing up for all these villainesses. Talking about the costumes, obviously it's quite obvious to the viewer. I think it's the most obvious for female characters, but I think you're both quite unusual in that you've both play leads and villains. And Ben, have you noticed, is there a difference between lead and villain with the sort of, I've seen you in a few shirts, shall we say, that are quite with the collars and the colours.
Yeah.
And there was some medallion going on in one of them.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think I have now 3 that would come out this year. It's funny. It's
Duke
like,
Bell one had good costumes.
the Duke Bell one had. That had great costumes. So it's like a prince, but also still a billionaire, of course. But
yeah,
but yeah, during like 2025, every outfit I put on, they had some jewels here on like the.
I just did another one with Tyler, and in that one he also had like brooches on everything, or like whatever those are called, medallions.
Yeah. Or like some like the collar with some stuff. But it wasn't until 2025 I started wearing that. Then every one I did, it had something, some jewelry, some bedazzled.
Someone saw it and they were like, "Ooh, beautiful."
Yeah, I feel like they've just upped the level. Have you had to wear the silk neck sheath thing?
I have. Yeah, the last one.
Are they comfy? Because I've got obsessed about these.
They're not really uncomfy, but they fall down every 20 seconds. And so the one we did that hasn't come out yet. Yes. And I had to wear it. Or the one we're both releasing.
Yeah, both of them.
Okay.
Not Andy's choice, it was.
No, Andy's choice. He was also that. The one where you deleted. Well, I wore that thing. And it wasn't uncomfy, but it just would fall down. So we would have to, after every single take, the costumer would come up and do it again. And it makes acting almost tough because you really can't move your head too much. You have too much movement. It'll just flop right down. So, not a fan of them, but I understand a second choice of it.
No, I just need to be on set, and I will just come and confiscate them all, and then it's not a problem.
And it's funny whenever
we're on set, get her.
Whenever we had to do it, me and the costumer, like, all right, let's put it on, and everyone who dealt with it was kind of like, all right, it's one of those scenes. Let's.
Oh yeah, that's the best when the costumer and you are on the same page of like this costume, like let's get it out.
So it's just really interesting hearing you both talk there, because obviously you've both done so many projects, and obviously we know what the names are like as well. It's sort of you could put it in a box, couldn't you? Just pull out billionaire, baby, CEO, hated, loved me. Do they all kind of start running into one thing for you? Like, how do you actually keep them straight in your head?
Me.
I'm so bad at titles, I'll be totally honest. Usually, the costumes do help. Like, oh, what was I wearing? And you kind of think through the characters. So like, oh, was I being, it's like cold and stoic, or they're just being purely evil person? And from there, the character you kind of can distinguish. Oh, that was that one. That was that one. But they do run together, especially doing so many back to back to back to back to back. I mean, it's a funny thing where there have been times where someone will say, I did one. I played a guy named Marvin, and in the next shoot, there's an actor who's also named Marvin, and so they would say, "Hey, where's Marvin at?" I go, "Yeah, I'm right here. I'm in the scene. What are you talking about?" And sometimes they would go, "So we have a day player comes up and say, oh, who are you playing?" You gotta stop and go, "Oh, I'm playing Ryan, Mark." Everything just runs together. The names are so they use the same 12 names. So definitely.
That's probably it for me too, because I'm like, the scripts, like, they do have a lot of the same stuff happen a lot of the time, but I'm pretty good at like being like, this is the script, this is that project, but it is the names. Like, I've played Sophie like 5 times, so then if I'm on one where I'm not Sophie and someone else is, I'm always like, yeah, I'll answer to Sophie. I'm like, what? But there'll be names that I like forget. I'm like, who am I? Yeah, but I think it's the names.
Okay, just to ask, like, logistically, because obviously you're married and you're trying to have time together as a couple and obviously time to see family, but then obviously these shoots are really intense and I know it's like you want to take the work. So how do you make sure that we can achieve what has happened right now and that you're both in the same room at the same time? Like, just like, how do you organise your diaries just to make sure that you get that? Yeah.
Well, number one thing is whenever we're not on set, we're together. And apart from when I go to jiu-jitsu, she goes to Pilates. We're side by side every single off day. Even when we are filming, we still will. Although that morning, we're still a little quality time. But that night especially, she's the absolute best. And I'll come home to dinner a lot. And so we'll sit on the couch, watch some TV, have some food, talk, reconnect again. But yeah, when you're filming, I mean, it's 12-hour days, 5 days in a row, day off, 4 days. So it does get tiring, but she's the most important thing in my life. So it's not too tough to squeeze any little morsel of time together.
We are those people too that are like constantly in contact. Like, we're always texting. Every time he leaves somewhere, he gives me a call and he's like, "I'm on my way home." I'm like, "Yay!" So it is one of those things where it's like we always know where the other person is, and we're always like, "Hey," all the time.
That's good. So that sounds like you are at least pretty much most nights you're at home and you're not travelling. Is that kind of a conscious decision because so at least you know that at the end of each day you are coming back to each other and at home?
Yes. Yeah, and then we will, like, if like the right opportunity arises and one of us has to go somewhere, we could take it and whatnot. Like, he was in China once, I was in New York once, and we weren't there together. But for the most part, we're like lucky where we get some offers to travel together, and then we can like do it together. Because it's like if the offer is kind of the same as like one we could get here, we'd pick the one to work here if we have to be like apart. But if we get to work together and go somewhere, like we were just in China together, which was great. It made the trip like so much better to like be there together.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time we luckily yet haven't been traveling too much apart. But when he's gone, when he was in China without me for like those 2 weeks, I was so sad. I was so sad.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah. So talking about working together, am I right in thinking Return of the Abandoned Heiress was the first project that you did together?
Yeah.
How did that work? Like, did someone get cast first? You both just thought, we'll apply for this and you got the role?
It was funny, actually. I did the callback, and I'm so bad at computers, so I only use her laptop. So I get on Zooms for callbacks, and it'll say Kelsey Susino. And I got on, and I think it was either the CD or producer.
Right?
Well, she was the director, but it was someone who you had worked with. And like, "Oh, is Kelsey your wife?" I was like, "Yeah, she is." And she was actually sitting like and be waiting for my callback. And they said, "Oh, did we have her read for any of the roles?" And I was like, "No, not yet." And so from the callback, like, "Oh, let's reach out to Kelsey." And they reached out to Kelsey. She auditioned. She killed it. And that's how we got on that one together, actually. It was just kind of serendipity.
It's who you know, right? Maybe it was I selected.
So, what was the first one? I know, how many have you done together now? And which was the first one that you both, 5, both did as the leads together?
It was our next one after that. It was CEO's Miracle Baby. And then the other three we've done haven't come out yet. But those all happened this year, and I'm very excited for those to come out because those have been some of my favorite storylines and like characters I've gotten to play. So I'm excited for those to come out.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about them? Well, I mean, I know the titles might change, but
what are you allowed to tell us? The two most recent were Secrets of a Housewife, where we played a married couple. And without giving like too much away because it's not out yet, I find out I have leukemia, and then I decide to like switch up my life, and things happen. And then in the next one is Annie's Choice, and that one was the one we filmed in China. And that one was like kind of one of the harder. It was still like a really like cool script, but it was one of like the hardest ones to film because our characters were married, but we don't. Let me not give the ending. So what happens in that one is like I'm an oncologist, and then his like childhood friend who like they kind of had a thing but like never happened. She comes back in the picture. So that one was definitely tough to film, but like is a cool script and a cool story. So I'm really excited for people to see it when it comes out.
So who is the actress? Who is the childhood friend?
Veronica Wozniak. She is a New York Vert girl.
Yeah. And how was that for her coming in? Because that must be quite like, oh wow, they're like.
She's great. She's so professional.
That was like amazing, because you know each other so well.
Such a lucky like thing because it's like at the end of the day, like we're all actors, we're all professionals. Like there are things that like if we have like intimacy or something, like I'd rather it be us if we're both on set together because I'm like I don't want to have to like sit and look at that. But other than that, it's fine because it's like it's honestly harder for me to be like upset with him in a scene because it's like just being upset at like your real life husband. Of course, even though we're acting, it's like real emotions are coming out. Yeah. So it's almost just like more hard, like on how you feel afterwards. Where you're like, oh no, I'm sad today because like I just had all these like icky emotions. And we have to do them together. But it is also really fun to work together because we're, when it's like someone you're so sensitive to and like you're so close, it almost is like if you're open to like letting it happen, like you're more vulnerable and like raw. So it is definitely like fun acting wise to act with him whenever we get to. But I want us to do something fun together. I want to be little what's it called, like spies, or do a rom-com, something fun. We've had too many.
I would love to see you both do more comedy because I think you both. I mean, I always love comedy. I think we need more comedy. We've got enough sort of dramatic, traumatic verticals. We need some more fun stuff, and I reckon you two would be amazing in like a screwball comedy or something.
Well, we did one. It's coming out, I think, fairly soon on Playlist. It's called
Unforgivable Mistakes.
No, My Glorious Life Started After Breakup.
Oh, they changed it? Oh, they got the poster. Yeah. Oh, see, sorry.
And that's one we did. First we did this year.
It's a great poster.
And that was one of my favorite ones because I was playing the evil guy and she was my assistant. And we didn't have too many scenes together, but we were both yucking it up and out and doing a lot of bits. And that was, I think, the most fun I had playing a character because it was just it was so crazy. It was very screwball.
We definitely turned it that way. I think originally they wanted it a little bit more dramatic, but we said, there's some opportunity for that.
I don't know what will stick in, but I mean, I rolled across a table at one point. There was like 3 mannequins, and I like did like a flying kick to one, and there was like doing a ground and pound on it. And I loved it. It was so much fun to do. I am nervous if the comedy, because I know some of the audiences may not enjoy the same comedy I have, but it was very just over the top. It was I thought it was like Joe from Arrested Development, or just random Tim Robinson voices. Yeah, it was very that. It was but that was also a character where it was like, there almost really wasn't a lot of prior forming with that character was just like, what's something that's really funny and also really mean? I just kept doing that. And it was a blast. But yeah, we would love to do something where we're both comedic and both just...
Like you said, a screwball comedy sounds fun. Let's do that.
Can't wait. One day.
Because I do want to go. I'm going to ask you some more questions about China shortly, but I just want to talk about obviously the fact that I got obsessed because you shared something, Ben, which was you doing a little action thing on one of the sets, and I know at the time there hadn't really been much action scenes in Verticals. I think it's changed since then because they're bringing more stunt people in. But I'd had a chat with someone. They're like, "Oh, it's really hard to do action," and then there was this thing, and obviously you're so clean and precise with your movements. It's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And then it turns out you do quite a lot of jiu-jitsu. So I'm now on, well, you know this, I'm on a quest to make you an action star. I think it needs to happen. But can you like just tell us where the jiu-jitsu, sort of when you got interested, did that happen after the basketball or?
Yeah, happened after basketball. Well, my uncle, he's a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He trained here in LA in the late 90s, early 2000s, like one of the first people, he worked with some of the Gracies, that family. He was really big into it. He was just always the coolest guy to me in the world. I love Anthony Bourdain. He did jiu-jitsu. I want to do jiu-jitsu one day. And then a little over a year ago, I finally started doing it. And it was so much fun. I mean, I got choked out every single day. I got thrown around by people who were half my size. I was like, oh, this is so great. And it's a great skill to learn, I think. I think everyone should learn how to fight, some martial art, just self-defense.
He'd come home with these like big scrapes on his face, and it was like his profile picture for a while. I was like, damn it. I was like, no.
But I did do one, and it just came out. Oh, what was the title? It's on Kalos.
Oh, the one that was supposed to be contracted.
Yeah.
Like Rich White. That one he shot a long time ago. That was one of his earlier ones, and it came out like a year later, almost. Yeah. But with Anna.
Borrowed Time, Stolen Hearts. And I remember on the it was the very last day, very last scene, we had a stunt guy come in. Him and I were talking. I was like, oh, yeah, I do grappling. He's like, oh, really? Do you want to add to a scene? Like, I would love to. And the very last scene we did that day, final of the shoot, was a fight between me and actor Luke. It was fantastic. He's a great guy. So funny and so tough to keep a straight face during that one because everyone was hilarious. But I was able to do it's called a triangle choke. That's basically when you like do that and you bring their head through it and you choke them out with their arm. And I couldn't like bite it because I don't want to actually choke somebody out. But doing that in a scene where I could actually use like grappling, because it doesn't really translate to film a lot. I mean, like for John Wick movies, it does, but it's all action. Usually, you want like more like precise striking. But doing that was so much fun, and any of the fight scenes, so much fun. It's weirdly more fun sometimes to get beaten up, and like miss the punch and then go flying. And this year, it was like I did 4 in a row where I never beat anybody up, and I got my butt kicked every time. And it was the one we did. It was Not Sober's Choice. What was the other one?
Annie's Choice.
No, part of that.
Secrets of a Housewife.
Secrets of a Housewife. And I had to get punched in it. You kind of got to exaggerate everything. So I just threw myself back so I got punched. It's like, oh, I got a headache right now. And I think from doing so many back-to-back and constantly getting beat up, I was getting whiplash from just throwing my body. And because it was like some of them were like, again, the one that's coming out soon where I did was from the really evil guy. I got beat up a comedic amount of times. Sam, he's also fantastic, so great to work with. And there was 2 parts in that where he just kept punching and punching and punching me.
Sam?
What's his last name?
Oh gosh, I'll look it up.
I kind of want to know, like who have you like? Do you get beaten up by like the minions and the CEO assistant, or have you at least got beaten up by the hero?
Well, he was the hero in that one. So that was
blue love interest.
But in the Duke Bell one, I was the lead, and I got beat up by one of the henchmen. It was funny because I was like, I went and threw some punches, And then he came in and got a call like, oh, no, don't fake it. Just beat him up. And he started, beating me. He did like a front kick. He did like a jab and a cross. Did like 2 knees to the gut. And really just took me out. Huh?
The king beat you up too. Huh?
There was a whipping scene, whipped my back. And that was interesting to film that one.
And Kelsey, obviously, you've probably had stuff as well, because, I mean, I'm not a fan of them, but the old vertical slap and the old vertical drunk. Have you had drinks thrown over you? Have you thrown drinks? Stories to tell.
Yeah, I think mostly I don't think I've ever gotten a drink thrown on me. I think even when I'm the lead, I think I've always gotten to throw the drink, which I'm happy about. I have gotten thrown in the pool. I slap and have gotten slapped more times than I can count. And I like to throw in a backhand slap because I think it's funnier than a front hand slap. But other than that, I'm anything really big. I haven't gotten any real intense fight scenes. Usually the woman in these can't fight, and maybe once or twice they can. And I think all my characters so far, I've made the choice that they really can't fight. So it's a lot of oh my God, and I'll throw myself, and even if someone just kind of pushed me. The one I just did with Tyler, someone kind of grabs my hand and just kind of tosses me off, and I fling myself, and I'm you bitch, and I'm kill her, all this stuff. So I think it's definitely when he said more fun to just be dramatic, make it really crazy whenever you can.
So I saw you on stories in a ball gown doing an amazing comedy fall in a corridor.
Yeah, that was the one you were just talking about, the one that changed its title with Sam Schweikert.
Schweikert. Yeah.
We'll both get that name pronounced correctly at some point. Sorry, Sam. But that was that one where I just kind of decided to fall. And then they added in that coverage of just me falling, but it was because we're following him down a hallway, and I was I'm gonna do something with this. It's a science trip. And then they liked it, so I got to do more of it.
It was so great too. It was the dance background came into it, and she felt so.
I'm trying that
so
set.
That would be so good.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Would you like to use your dance more? Have you got to use it much?
I haven't really gotten to use it at all. I would love to. Every time I'm on set, I add in a little tap dance, and I'm it's in my contract. I get to add this in every scene, at least one scene. But no one ever lets me. But I would love to.
You could work really well in vertical, wouldn't it? Like a ballroom, a tango or something.
Yeah.
No, I think in Faux Fiance, we did get to do a dance scene, but it was one of those things where when we showed up that day, they're okay, we're gonna add a dance here. And we're all okay. And I was well, you should have told me, I would have choreographed something. I'm Callie would have showed out. But we still win. But we just got to do I kind of was just to Elijah, I'll lead. And I just kind of spun myself around a few times. And he's great. And we did a little dance. But that was probably the most dancing I've gotten to do. There was that one.
You did one, it was with Secret Heiress.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it's called?
Don't tell my boss I'm a girl.
And that one, I worked with them, the production after, and they came up to me, Craig did, was we're editing that one right now. And there's a scene in it where Kelsey, her entire body is moving so much, but her head's staying completely still. And she's just staring down this woman. He was saying, the one time he was he just couldn't stop laughing, in the edit, because she was just doing so much, but also her head was not moving at all. And
And actually, I'm glad you reminded me of that one, because that's got, I think, possibly my favourite scene that you've ever done, Kelsey, in it. Because I don't know how you do it. Okay, it is phenomenal. But I can't remember what it is, but you're reading a letter or you see something and you go white. You actually see you're in shock, but I don't know how you do it, but it's I think it's Blanche is the word if you were writing it in a book. And when you're how is someone that good? Basically so pale on screen. I mean, just so you know, that was I can't that lives in my head rent free. That scene.
That makes me
so
feel
you know, probably to you, just a tiny scene, but to me, that's just one of the best things I've ever seen in a vertical. Just the way you did that. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
So, yeah. I just want to go back to China. So, but yeah, basically, what's that like? Like, what's the difference? How was the food? Did you get to see anything? Like, did you actually get to
It was
experience the
delicious.
culture?
We loved the food.
The
Yeah.
first time I went, the hours weren't too bad. We did get to go out. We on our off day went to two malls, and that was kind of crazy to me because they were just like these mega like American malls. I mean, you go there, it's like, oh, Starbucks, oh, McDonald's, oh, it's a North Face, but huge. I mean, that area just it's like American, just like kind of bigger.
Yeah, we were in Qingdao. He was there both times.
Yeah, and not both times.
Yeah.
But the food was fantastic. I had sea slug, sea worm. It wasn't bad. It was a different texture. It was something like like mushrooms. But that was fun. The next time we went though, we had pretty long days. We had like 15-hour days, and she had like a 19-hour day. So we didn't see too much then, but
we went to a museum, which was cool.
Oh, the beer museum.
We did go on, like, before we started filming, we were, like, in a mall where we got to ice skate, and we got to, like, go on this trampoline park, so that was fun, too.
That was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, the crews on that one, both of them, they keep you very well fed. Almost too well fed. And the first time I was, like, 2 weeks consistently. Both times, like, I'm like, never even remotely hungry. Or even, like, at peace. It's just always, I got 6 pounds of noodles and rice right now in my stomach. And it's great.
It rejuvenated my love of vegetables. I had so many delicious vegetable dishes that I was like, oh yeah, vegetables are great. Gotta eat these more often.
Did you pick up any Chinese phrases while you were there? Or just, I mean, I know as well, obviously, on the sets you're working here, you've got
like
Chinese
the
food.
most, oh, sorry. Shisha is like the most common one because it means thank you. Like shisha, oh, bokachi. Kohon is lipstick. Chofu and lofu are like first and final position. And then Kelsey Wala is Kelsey, I'm coming. Like Kelsey's coming. Or Kelsey Dola, I'm here. Like Kelsey's here. I've arrived. I would say that all the time because we'd be like in makeup, like finishing me, and they'd be like, and I'd be like, I'm coming. So they're like, Kelsey Wala, Kelsey Lila. So that was those. What about you?
Newbie.
Oh yeah.
Newbie. Very good. Very great.
The best.
That's
good.
Awesome.
If you've got one of those, you know you're doing your job right.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you say it together. If you don't say it together, it means something else. It's not great.
Yeah.
Newbie.
Oh.
That's what I remember that I loved. I gotta start saying it more often.
Then you're gonna say it wrong, and someone's gonna be like, "Excuse me."
Yes.
So I'm aware I've taken up lots of your time, and obviously this is your Saturday, and you need to have your time together. I just want to ask, so kind of projects going forward, and also just having both been in, and obviously the vertical space for over a year, can you kind of see a change in the scripts that are coming through and the roles that you're being offered now? Because I think we as fans have really seen over the last month or two, obviously there's some that's leaning into the same topics, but there seems to be also quite a lot of new ideas happening. So what's your view from your perspective?
Yeah, I definitely think there are more opportunities for newer scripts, for different ideas. I think it hasn't always reflected in like the ones I get cast in. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I just did this like really like Faux Fiance. I'm like, that one was like so interesting, so new. And then like went immediately back to like the very like stereotypical like mobisode script. But I don't know, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am seeing a change. I mean, it's slow at times, but the scripts are. Well, what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but they will do 5 or 6 that are, that one made money on this platform. Let's do some other script, try to make money. But then they'll try to do 1 or 2 chances, something new, something different, in hopes that one also will blow up. I think they are kind of hitting a spot where it's the same thing over and over. I know I'm doing like a military one, starting like a couple days.
My next one is lawyers, and it's like secret agent husband. Like it's a gay plot line, which is fun. And I think because of like secret agent husband being successful, like unfortunately it's like the ones that like do well, that they'll like be like, okay, let's do that. But I'm glad that they're at least doing like another one. Like they're dabbling a little bit more into the not just strict like heteronormative stuff too.
I will say too, real quick. It is still pretty. Leads are always white people. The person of color, they're going to be playing an assistant or a best friend. That has not changed yet. But I think that's something that should change here.
Yesterday,
12 months ago. Yeah. But I think that'd be great to start seeing.
Yeah, that's like probably one of the
Diversity,
slowest
not
changes.
just,
Yeah.
White people.
I just find it really bizarre because I mean I basically found Verticals because I watch romance. Now I will watch romance wherever it's made in the world. So I've watched like Indonesian, Korean, I've watched Bollywood, I've watched Nigerian, I've watched everything. It's like I don't care. I've watched South American. It's like if it's a good romance. I mean obviously they're going to be beautiful people because you know you're both beautiful people and we'll get cast in them. But like I'm like I don't see the colour as such, and that it's like it's romance. And I love that there's that universality of wherever you are in the world. I also love the other things. I find one of my favourite things is when I used to watch a lot of Chinese dramas was finding out that the joke about, you know, if your computer doesn't work, turn it off and on again. And they put that in a Chinese show, and that made me so happy. It was like, right, that's global. That's the advice wherever you are in the world, turn your computer off and on again. But yeah, so I find it bizarre that verticals don't get that. It's like you'll bring more people in if you have better casting and it's more diverse.
Yeah, and there really should be more because it's not a color thing. It's like it's a love story. So it'd just be a love story, and it is fun to see. You know, I mean, like just different cultures. Like it's funny sometimes seeing the scripts. I you know they're written from Chinese writers. And some things will be very different from American or like kind of Western culture. But some things are exactly the same, and it's just such a universal like love story. It's gonna be so universal. It's like it doesn't matter who's telling it, what culture. Some things are just, that's a love story. Let's just put in people who, sometimes look different, and let's actually have.
And I think the more like there's
diversity. I think
there's more like production companies popping up like all the time, and I think sometimes it is, who has like the final say. It's the client, it's the producer, and sometimes I mean I've been in some of those, like I've cast 3 of these now. So when I was casting, you do hear like some of those like back channel conversations that you're like, okay, where it's like it really is like who the producer particularly finds attractive. So if like there'll be like someone who may be in like a ton of these and like this particular producer doesn't find them attractive, and they'll like say something about that, and then they won't book this particular show. So it's not always, and this is also a shame because there are like some really talented people, but sometimes it's not even about talent. It's literally just like the producer like likes your look for this particular thing. So that's always like a shame about like entertainment industry stuff, is like if you have to fit like what this one particular person wants you to look like.
Right, you just dropped quite a big thing there, Miss Kelsey.
Yeah.
You've been casting. Can you talk more about casting? You've just gone, oh, by the way, I'm doing that. Can you talk a bit more about that, please, and explain how that came around? Because that's incredible.
Well, actually, when I lived in New York, in school, I met this casting director, Erica Palgon, who's wonderful, and she was great, and she like let me. I assisted her basically for a while, and got to work on a bunch of like casting projects, and that was so cool. So I really learned a bunch about casting, and then from there, like cast a couple things on my own, like small stuff, nothing huge. But then out here, like I had like a bit of a casting background, cast random stuff, and I think one of my friends saw that they were looking for a casting director. She saw it on like Instagram. So she sent it to me, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'll throw together my resume and like apply. And then luckily like they hired me for it. So I got to cast one that was Runaway Princess Bride on Real Short. And then I got to cast 2.
Big one to have cast. That was a massive hit.
Yeah, that one was cool. That one was really fun. And I'm glad it like went well. It was like a cool one because it was also probably the first time I'd seen like the princess storyline, because when I cast this, it was like a while ago. It was a while ago. So that was cool for me. And then I cast 2 others for Short Max, and that one they're both out now. And yeah, so it's cool. It's like, the thing is, like, I feel like people, especially in verticals, like, of course casting has like is doing a job, but a lot of the time I feel like I had friends or like people I met on set be like, saw my name on the breakdown and they'd be like, oh, like, cast me. And I'm like, well, I can give you an audition, but nothing else is up to me. But I'm like, I'll see you, of course. Like, please send me your tape. But it's cool. I mean, I like casting. I don't have a ton of opportunities to do it. And of course, I mean, I prefer acting, but I love, it's also like casting is one of those things you do on your own time. So it is like a cool, not side, but like other thing to do as well. And I do enjoy it. It's fun. And especially like I have a lot of like acting background and like training. So it's like, I do like to see what choices people make. And I'm like, especially even like being an actor, like, oh, like maybe like I saw the scene this way, but it's always fun to like see it how someone else sees it. So it is fun. Like, I love watching things. That's like a really fun thing.
Have you got any sort of side dabbles like that as well, Ben? Have you know, writing or directing, or is there no? Okay, that's really.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy writing, but I don't really write scripts too much anymore. But anything with business, anything with computers, I just can't do it. I can barely use my phone. I do the text. That's about it. It's not a skill or intelligence I have. Business.
You're fine. You're learning. You're getting it. We're getting good at business. I feel like from these, it's like a nice training ground.
Yeah.
The insides of business. A little business.
Have you got time to carry on a little bit longer? Because you just made me think of another question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice thing.
I think that's a really interesting point that you just made about business. Because do you get taught any of that when you're doing acting training, or is it? Because that's the thing, isn't it? That you are running your own business. You are managing yourself to a degree, aren't you? You know, choosing your manager, choosing projects, trying to work out the direction your career is. Like, how does that work?
That's my absolute biggest qualm with acting school. Like, I went to NYU, which is, and by all intents and purposes, like a prestigious school. Like, I'm glad I went there. Nothing about the business side. Like, I wasn't even allowed to audition while I was in school. And I'm sure there were people who were smarter than me who did it anyway. But like, my first audition wasn't until after I graduated. And that's like, you know, because I think I was too good of a student almost, where I was like, oh, I follow the rules and I like do my work and like blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't until like I graduated that I really started to like learn anything about the business. And then it wasn't even until like I came to LA where I feel like I felt comfortable enough in myself and like my abilities to like really start to get anywhere. Because like confidence is another thing that like you have to like learn yourself. You can't like, no one can teach you that. But yeah, that's my biggest thing is like we learn nothing about the business, nothing at all.
Yeah. Same. I went to school for acting, and you don't learn anything business wise. It's like, oh, just learn how to act, you know, learn how to. It's just about once you're in the room, you know, what do you do? How do you do the audition? But so much of acting is business, and you know, dealing with producers and anything in that realm. And even until Kelsey, I didn't really have like email literacy. I mean, when I sent an email, you know, it was 1,000 exclamation points. I would apologize for sending the email. I'm so sorry. Thanks so much. And just dealing with how to do that is huge. And a friend of mine recently, she asked, do you have any like tips on like getting into acting? And my number one was, learn how to send emails, but just deal with that whole side of, you know, the acting business, the business side of it. Because
that's the other thing. Your agent or your manager, like, they'll handle some stuff, but especially when you're not, I think when you're at a certain level, like some like A-list, maybe even B-list stars, like, yeah, maybe your agent is handling 50 to 75%, maybe even 80% of your stuff for you. Maybe even like some people have like teams where they handle like 95%. But like when you're kind of newer to the industry, you're handling that 90% and your agent is doing like 10%. And it's not that they're not doing work. They are. But it's different. Like we'll still be like talking to the producers if we have like an agent or manager involved. Like they still like will let us handle a lot of the communication where sometimes you're even like, hey, like, would you mind responding to this email? And it's like, you have to ask sometimes where it's like, okay. So it is like a lot of like business that I think that's such a underrated thing when like new actors show up. It's like, oh yeah, you do have to learn that whole side of it too. You can't, like there's something like that they did tell us in school that was like, make a website. And I made a website. I deleted it. I never used it once. It was pointless. I'm like, let's stop wasting time on certain things and put effort into other things. Like I would have loved a business class. I mean, I did go to a school where that's not true. I did try to take like a couple of classes that like didn't fit in my curriculum that like they let the majors of those things get into those classes first. So even when like there's kind of the option to take a class, you don't always get to take that class. I'm going on a tangent about school, which I could keep talking about.
Sure. I asked the question because I just suddenly thought it's not something. It's actually a huge part of your job, isn't it? But that I suspected that that's not covered as much. Thank you for that, because I think it would be really helpful for people who are looking at getting into the business to be aware of. So
yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
Okay, so I went a bit heavy, so I'm going to end with some very quick, more fun questions because I went a bit heavy there. Have you got any pets? Do you want to get any pets in the future?
We want pets at some point.
No, we have a one bedroom in Studio City, so we can't really get a dog. It's not no yard or anything. We do want to eventually get 2 dogs. We want one big one and one
I can carry around.
Small that you can carry.
Yeah. Okay, so out of both of you, who's got the green thumbs? Is there someone who's more sort of the gardener?
Yeah,
plants, flowers.
I can't keep plants alive.
I like my plants. My grandfather, he had like a big greenhouse in like North Carolina and Appalachia, and he wanted to start a nursery. So maybe it's in my genes, but I don't know if I would say I'm a.
My dad gardens.
Yeah.
No, he keeps our plants alive.
I water plants and like having plants in the house, but yeah.
Okay. I have to ask about cooking. What are both of your signature dishes?
Oh, a signature dish.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. My signature dish that he makes for me is I love tofu broccoli.
Yeah.
Whenever I want him to cook for me, that's what I like. Me, I don't know. What do I make?
I make a lot of pasta.
Yeah.
I made one last night really good. 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
With the mozzarella and the cherry tomatoes.
I made this chickpea dish. Not last night, maybe that was 2 nights ago. That was delicious. That was so good. I don't know if I have a signature dish. I'm just gonna start thinking about food.
Yeah. Are you like a cook where do you make it up as you go along, or are you I need a recipe and I want to follow instructions?
Ooh, no, I love to just make it up with cooking. That's why I like cooking. I will follow a recipe, but if I think a spice will be good in this, I'll add it. I like spicy stuff too, so that's fun. That's why baking, I've been trying to get more into baking. I just made some madeleines, my third attempt, and these came out the best, luckily. But baking, I just like more because you do have to be more precise and you can't jazz it up a little. But I've gotten better at it. I've started to follow the recipes, actually.
And then just final question is we've talked about verticals, but what are your favourite actors and actresses, kind of the ones who inspire you that you like? I'd like to be able to look back on a career like that.
I love Marlon Brando. I love Streetcar. Recently, I've really enjoyed Jeremy Strong. He's fantastic. Love Succession. We saw him on Broadway recently. And oh my God, he's one of those actors where he can do. Sometimes they do film. Their theater's kind of bad, or if they do theater, like Laurence Olivier. Sometimes they're like, oh, he's kind of big for screen, even though it's not big. But he was somebody where he could just do both so well. I remember in the first scene, what was it? Enemy of the People. It was some Chekhov play, and before he even got onto stage, he had his first one was off stage, and you could just feel the entire room, feel the energy in it. And he was so good, and how he just went completely in that play. And I can do that 8 times a week. It's insane. But he's a killer. And him in The Apprentice, also fantastic movie. He played Morcone. So good.
Underrated movie. That movie was great.
Yeah,
Sebastian Stan, Jeremy
great movie. Also very good to watch in these times. But yeah, so I'll say Jeremy Strong right now, and Marlon Brando kind of sticks always with me.
I always like mine kind of changed because like I love actors, but I also will like get a performance or like a scene like fixated in my head, and I'm like, now that. Like I love Elizabeth Taylor. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is like one of my favorite plays. Seeing her in that like movie version was great, and some other stuff she's done. But I don't even watch recently that I'm like, now that. It's been a bunch of stuff, and now they're all escaping me. I also love Jeremy Strong. I love Kieran Culkin, and we love Succession. Sebastian Stan. I love Sydney Sweeney. I think she's so talented. What have I been seeing lately? We watched Boys in the Hood, and like obviously Viola Davis is amazing. There's like one scene where she's talking to her son, and like kind of just like all of a sudden like she starts talking to him, and then her eyes get like really red, and it's like that other thing you said with like it's just like someone can like really can like it's just like the emotion you just see. I love seeing the emotion is cool. Like I'm such a if I ever get upset, like it kind of comes from my nose first. So I'm like when you see like that kind of stuff, it is always like kind of cool to me. Like you see like a moment happen, and you're like, oh wow. But yeah, lots of amazing actors. There's so many. I wish I could had more.
I could totally see you two doing like a Burton Taylor biopic. I think you could both pull that off.
Love that.
You could do that.
Wait, what did you say?
You could do Burton and Taylor, the pair of you.
Ooh.
Mr. Richard Burton, Miss Elizabeth Taylor.
Love
Just
it.
like the vertical. Honestly, I could see you both doing that. You could easily pull that off. That would be amazing. You just need to work on the Welsh accent, Ben, and then you're sorted. So.
100%.
Yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you because I've taken up quite a bit of your time, and you've both shared so much, and it's going to be so interesting and helpful to people. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's great to finally meet you.
It is
and
great
not
to
just
meet
through
you.
Instagram.
Yeah,
it's so much
this
fun.
is so fun. Yeah, it's really has been like so fun.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Right, time press stop.